Okie dokie, we should be back. See how much chat we missed out on. Oh. AITC Extreme. Yes, we're back. By the way, thank you to Flasios, Ciatis, I think, Ciatis. Thank you very much for your $10. And also Steve Abraham. Thank you very much. I will be writing a software system that will make this come up on screen for everybody in the future. It's just one of many things that I have to still program, along with the perfect Rossmann system. Alright. I had to go sort out the kids. I didn't realise it was 11:30. I had to go wrangle them in, and anyone who knows anything about herding cats knows it's damn near impossible, especially when they don't want to come in. Okay, so let's see. Programming. So what we need to do is we need to copy the rail sequence list, the data that I have, into this 3536 board text file now. Yep, that should do it. Okay. So we go to gvim. Laptops, Apple, okay. Now we know we've already got it in the 165 or something close enough to it. And so we're going to now put it in the 3536. So 3536. Yeah. Text swap. Delete it. Thank you. Okay. You guys can't see that because my big fat head's in the way. Put me over here. Okay, so we've got power rail section here, and the PM sleep S4L. I should do 2. Wow, that's some junky data there. Paste. Now, theoretically, let's see, open up that, settings, preferences. Okay, so it's done, and there we go. So now I've got my rail guides to go by. Obviously, it's something I'd have to do to most of the boards, but I can do that as a batch process and then refine them per board. The only reason why I can get away with doing this is because in this case the rail sequences tend to be the same between pretty much all of these boards. There's obviously a few hiccups now and then which we'll have to tweak on an individual basis, but overall I can pretty much cut paste to almost all of them. Hey Peter Huber, how's it going? Alright, so way we can check that, if we click on them so some of them, okay, so S5HS computing doesn't seem to exist on this. There, that obviously will not exist. Back to butterfly mode. There's still a few quirks I need to work out, but overall it's okay. Alright, that's workable, so we'll go from there. So, Gonna do the all in, and I'll go put some gloves on now because I'm gonna start handling icky things again. Hey Rigo. They only ship Vim with Chromebooks. How do you ever use that thing? I had to hack up Nano not to go. I think after 30 years you kind of get used to using Vim. And to be honest, feel completely powerless without Vim. It's like, how are you supposed to do extensive search replaces across ranges and files and things like that without using Vim? You have to start using your mouse all the time. Where's the fun in that? Okay. Alright. Let's put some power to this. Hopefully we don't have a dead CPU. Chances are we're going to have a dead CPU because that CPU VReg was pretty messed up. But hey, we can pretend that we're going to have a lovely day and things are going to be just perfect. They're not, but we can pretend. Alright. A multimeter. So we're going to start with the S5 rows, obviously. PBS, G3 Heart, which orientation main. Oh, this is going to mess things up. Yep, need those longer cables. Okay, down by U7501. By that resistor. Whoops. Why didn't someone tell me I was in diode mode still? Probably just killed my meter again. Okay, 1259. Okay, we don't have HS computing. PPDC in isolation. Well, realistically, we shouldn't be chasing these valves anyway because we do have our 3G42 and the SMC is up and running. So let's have a look at RTC G3 Hot. So I was kind of wasting my time there a bit. I'm good at that. Okay, just above the camera RAM. We've got 3.3, that'll do. Thanks, Prater. Yep. A little late. I know, you were humouring me. 5v5, S5. Damn, I gotta say, this is much easier this way. 5 volts. 3v3, S5. Should be just that test point there. Yep, 3v3. Paul Johnson. Yeah, it's funny. I really don't subscribe to that whole MacBooks will break. Honestly, I find they tend to last a hell of a lot longer than everyone else's stuff. Yeah. That's what I find most amusing. As everybody goes off about how Apple sucks. And yet, here we are. Okay, we do not have... Yeah, okay, because we do not have PM Sleep S4L. So we've got to find out why we don't have PM Sleep S4L. Hey Harry. Talking about Flux, why not use ChipQuick? Works for me, and you can buy it from Sydney Original. I've generally found I prefer the AMTech. I like the consistency of the AMTech. It's just, and I haven't had any problems with AMTech until this particular current batch. And I think, yeah, something must have been noticed because yeah, some people are sending me replacements. Ah, right. Right, there you are. You're a bit of a tricky bladder to find there. Between those two. Okay, so we do have... Let's see... What do we got? RTC reset L. We obviously didn't have that line. I need to get rid of this one, SRTC. PCH into vermin. Don't know why PCHs are into vermin. 3.2. What's that? DSW, whatever the heck you are. 3.2. 3v3 sus. Damn it. It's annoying that we're getting all these rails. Okay, so we've got bat low. Oops. What's that one there? 3.3. .3 power button low. I'm really drawing a long straw here. Power button low is going to be easier by the SMC in this case. Bugger. We're all there. Yeah, that's no fun at all. Yeah, Paul, I disagree. Personally, I find PC laptops to be no better in construction. I mean, depends what you're talking about too. Also, yeah, you're talking commercial, business grade type laptops versus Apple laptops. I mean, yeah, Apple makes some mistakes like keyboard issues and GPU. Well, that's really the GPU. Hey, look, there's a bit of corrosion right there. But I mean, look at this. You got A1466s, you got A1502s, A1398s, things like from that era. They're just going to keep going on and on and on. So, yeah, I think it's honestly the reason why Lewis goes off like he does is because it serves to bolster those who want to follow under that banner. But quite frankly, in terms of physical electronics engineering, construction, assembly, all that sort of thing, then overall I find Apple assemblies to be of better standard than most PC stuff. Most PC stuff is designed for 12 months, boom, gone. I mean, what do they have, like 20 models per year, if you're lucky to have that few? I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, Apple's got some real crap. But their physical devices, when they get it right, they last. I mean, do we just forget all the GPU failures that we have on all the HPs, Toshibas, Asuses, all that sort of stuff? And most of the time, people don't really realize the scope of the failures, simply because of the fact that there's so many different models out there that you don't get an accumulation of all the frustration under one particular model. Instead, it's like the model was there for 6 months, the model's now gone. I'm pretty sure the CPU's dead on this thing, to be honest. Because even those little bits of corrosion couldn't cause it. That's the other thing, yeah, there's no board views. Very few board views for PC laptops compared to the number that are released. I mean, yeah, you do get them, but overall, percentage-wise, it's pretty awful. And half the time when you do get a board view, it's not even the right one. Where you get those lovely repair guides now, which are essentially... Now, this board is completely F-trucked. The reason why I'm saying it's F-trucked, apart from the fact that there is, the more I look, the more I see this corrosion, green corrosion embedded in here, into the pad seats, where the mask is cut away from the board. And you get, so what it really means is this board probably was just full of corrosion. They washed it, and it's dead as a doornail. So yeah, no fix for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Apple fanboy or anything like that. I mean, I guess that's subjective to the observer's perspective. But, I mean, I use PCs I use Linux, for goodness sake, which is pretty much the antithesis of what everything that Apple and Mac stand for. But I got to admit, when I got my MacBooks, the 1502s, the 1406s, things like that, the fact that they just worked, they're repairable, I've got the data for them, you can put them through absolute hell in terms of rework, and they still keep working and are repairable. I mean, yeah, the GPU faults are bad on some of them, and yeah, they've got some signature flaws which are absolutely terrible. Most of the time, the biggest flaws though with Apple's tends to be the marketing department in what they decide they're going to do with the in terms of crippling the engineering department. But I think with the late 2012, early 2013 through to late 2015, that era, I think the engineers had a free run, and it shows. Since then, things like the A1534, that's a bit of a flaky one. The A1932, I know a lot of people don't really like that, but so far I'm pretty happy with it. I like the design. It's got the T2 chip on it, that's a bit of a pain. I'll definitely agree to that. There is a bit of a predisposition for its CPU to fail. I'm not sure what's causing that. But if you don't have a CPU failure on it, they're quite nice little machines to work on. If you want it to last by a business machine, its consumer is trash. Yes, it is, yes. Yeah, I mean, you just look at all the hinge issues that you get with most of the laptops, or it's crap. And if you think changing keyboards on a Mac is bad, at least you can actually potentially do it with a PC. And they've got the now they've decided they want to follow Apple and do the whole monolith assembly for the top deck or the keyboard deck. It's all plastic rivets, so you can't even take the existing one off properly and put a new keyboard assembly in there. I mean, you can buy them, but if you try to put those plastic rivets nipples back down, it's a pain in the butt. Much rather the way that it's been done now, where you have the metal rivets, place them with screws. So yeah, the mid 2012 3115s and the 3330s, things like that. You can still upgrade the RAM. I mean, you've got the wear and tear issue there with the DDR slots on that series. That is a pain. But that, I would say, is definitely, that was a bit of an engineering issue in the sense of it couldn't handle the physical load involved. They were assuming too much that the surface mount contacts would hold it, but obviously they were wrong there. yeah, you buy the whole assembly for the PC laptop top decks. I agree. Um, but again, I guess what I'm just saying is that people like to say that Apples are nothing but tape and glue and secrets and things like that. But really, if you compare it to what's happening with the rest of the consumer industry, overall they tend to still be a little bit better. Okay, iPads, completely agree. They're just a major pain in the butt, those things. Operator, it used to be that way with most of the PC laptops. You just have your 2 clips or 3 clips, pop out the keyboard, put a whole new one in, and that was great. But then they decided, we don't want that. And now you get all the ones, and they've got the welded rivet plastic systems, and it's not, yeah. And then when you do buy a whole replacement assembly, you're getting it from somewhere like AliExpress, and you just got to hope that it's all good. And there's always the little variants, because there's 50 models that go to that country, there's 10 models that go to this country. It's a real mishmash. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is that at the very worst scenario, Apple is certainly no worse than the current commercial business type PC laptops. Overall, though, the amount of information that we have on these puts them way ahead. Because I had a few Lenovo. I've forgotten what they are now. But I couldn't get Boardviews or schematics for them. Not even close. Anyway, so this is donor into the pile. Bugger. No, let's have a look at what the other ones we've got. Let's see which one's got the least crap on it. And if you're talking PC laptops, such as, say, the Toshiba A500, C650s even, things like that, I mean, they're really cheaply built. But that didn't do too bad. Now, this is complete crap, this board. I mean, look at that. No way. And with that heatsink bent like that, that's probably an NL CPU under there. What have they done there? Squished the living daylights out of that. This is a donor. Oh man, give me something that I can work with here, else I'm going to have a ride on my hands of disappointment. 35, 36 again. Is that what I got? Yep. It'd be a laugh. This isn't my own board, is it? No, it's not. Geckos are laughing at me. I don't have a sticker on this to tell me what's wrong with it. Well, looks like some issues there. What do you control? Down by here. 1V5 SO switcher, miscellaneous power supply. Okay. Might have a chance with this one. Paul, the price you pay for these things, that's also the other difference. There are people who are going to focus on your upfront cost on something like that and say, well, it's 3 times the price of a PC for the same performance or such features or whatever. But it's never really the point of an Apple. And it's something that took me a long time to get the idea of, because at school, many moons ago, I was in the PC camp, and then I had my other friends and, frenemies who were in the Apple camp. And, we would always be attacking them and saying, you're only going to get 50 MIPS out of your machine, and we're getting 50 MIPS for 1/3 the price, and we would laugh at them and all that sort of stuff. But you can't compare Apple and PC gear on the same metric. It just doesn't work. If you do that, you're always going to come up with PCs win because they're so much cheaper for the same sort of thing. It's the wrong metric to which to compare. It's not what people are looking for, and that's the thing that a lot of people forget, is that people do not buy Apple because it has the best price to power ratio or that sort of metric. They're not looking at the quantitative measurements for the system. They're looking at the qualitative side of things, the fact that they can just get on with the operating system that they're used to. It generally behaves a lot better than Windows, and particularly at least until the recent Windows 10s. There's a far more coherent support system. It's just overall a more comfortable ecosystem to be in. But of course, if you're used to the PCs or even Linux for that matter, then you don't really care about that metric so much because you're used to what you've got, and you're kind of like, who needs the Fisher-Price Duplo Mac OS system or whatever. And that's where the debate just falls apart, because you're just sort of shouting past each other, completely missing the points. So people who buy Apple are not buying it because it's the fastest or whatever. I mean, yes, it is a pretty good performance. So long as it's pretty good performance, most of the time they're happy. There's also the fact that you do get, because it is a system very tightly constrained, you do get a slightly better performance per overall within the whole system for a given CPU or whatever, because it's optimized more for that one specific task. But yeah, I mean, like I say, if you're going to go to, as soon as you start saying I get more performance out of a PC at 1/3 the price, you've already missed the argument. You've missed the whole point of Apple. In which case, it's fine. You're not who they're looking for. Apple is for people who just want to sit down and use a computer as an appliance that mostly does its job, and that's why you cannot dislodge people from Apple so easily. That's why you can't go along and replace a person's Apple device with a PC that's supposedly better in your perspective. They will generally reject it because of the fact that it's not the appliance that they want. It's kind of like people who buy cars. You got people who love, like, say, I'm going to cause wars here. Say you're a Ford Affidincio, and everything has to be Ford because you believe this and that about the performance. It's got the right overhead rockers. It's got the certain drive shaft. It's got the right number of plates on the clutch assembly, whatever. Whereas you get people like me who just simply say, I want a car that I can get into, drive downtown, and it gets me to the shops, and I don't have any issues, and if I need it serviced, I just take it down to the shop and gets whatever. So like I said, and that's why these wars never end, because people are arguing for different things. Well, Jonathan, I mean, there will always be some people who will fit into that category of being pretentious visual art, people who buy that sort of thing. But there's also a tremendous number of people who simply buy the Apple because it does the job they want. And unfortunately, there are certain situations where Apple will lead them by the nose into a higher category than what they perhaps need, simply through restriction of product availability, things like that. And the people will pay that price simply because it's more convenient for them to pay that one-off price now and get on with their job. I think you have to realize that what you pay now for something is long forgotten if you're happy with what you get, as opposed to buying something cheaper, which may have perhaps been better performance, but if it doesn't suit what you needed specifically, you are going to remember bitterly that you cheaped out, and that amount of money will seem like a loss for a hell of a lot longer than what you a lot longer after you've forgotten the expense of buying the Apple in the first place. As for me personally, I buy PC gear and I build it myself. Whatever. I don't buy Apple gear. Anytime I get Apple gear is when a convenient situation comes up with a customer, and I'm like, okay, I'll take your 27-inch Mac, or I'll take your 1502, or whatever like that. But I don't personally go out and buy it. But that said, if my wife says to me, I would like this new Apple Mac, then I would buy it for her, even though I don't personally want to buy it myself. Because for her, she's a novelist, an artist, things like that, it works better for what she does. She doesn't want to know that it's 10% or 40% PC, or PCs are better. She doesn't care about that stuff. All she cares about is that she gets her work done. And I think at the end of the day, that's what matters to those people. And that's why they buy those products. Because Apple doesn't put the technical details up their butts. It just simply says, well, this is it. And I got to admit, I have to really admit, iPhones, sorry to say, I mean, I tried a lot of different Android systems, and in the end, I've gone to an iPhone. Why? Because I'm not a phone fanatic or anything like that. I just want a phone that does the job and doesn't give me grief. And unfortunately, the iPhone did that for me. Like, I've tried the top line Samsungs and things like that, and the thing that drove me off Samsung in particular was the fact that after 12 months of updates, all of a sudden my top end product runs like crap. And that's after I factory reset it a few times, did all the updates, did everything that everyone suggested, and still ran like crap. And that was annoying to me because all I wanted was my phone to respond quickly to what I was trying to do. I wasn't trying to get a root system, I wasn't trying to do my special side-loaded thing. I just wanted a phone to be a phone and do what my messaging needed and things like that. So that's really your two camps, and that's why basically they'll never meet. Well, Wayne, yeah, Linux, I think the biggest problem with Linux is the developers and the lack of cohesive direction, and in some ways I guess that's its biggest draw card as well, because like, be what you want to be. And I think if you love tinkering and stuff like that, then you can definitely get the best out of Linux, and it can definitely be an excellent system. But yeah, I mean, I've been using Linux since '96, so I'm no stranger to it. I mean, I use it all the time. It's my development system. It's my system of choice. But at the same time, there is no way in hell I would suggest it to anybody. It just would not do that. No. Because I don't want them calling me up every 20 minutes saying, why doesn't it work like this? My friend Billy says that it should be working like this, and it doesn't. It's like, no thanks. You can have your Windows or your Mac OS. Let me stick with my Linux for myself. Apple updates are notorious for causing problems, also Windows updates. I mean, I've got a queue full of Windows 10 machines that are all stuffed up now because of the latest updates. The point is that you're missing the point. Okay, 569, 570. What are you doing? Actually don't know what this one's doing. I'm drawing about 580 milliamp of this, and it's staying steady, and the steadiness is a problem. OS2, yes, I was actually a big OS2 person. I shifted off DOS. This was back in 91, 92. I shifted off DOS, made OS2 my primary development system because it was extremely convenient for the fact that I could also run OS2 in a text mode shell and have multiple sessions running concurrently, which made it much easier for me to do my various software developments. At that time I was predominantly using Borland products and Turbo Vision text interface system, because everybody was just using text back then still, even though we all had Windows. So yeah, I mean, I very much liked OS2, and I think IBM pretty much killed that one through their own incompetence. But in addition to that, I think that Microsoft was really smart about how they went about it, and they basically led IBM down the path of killing their own goose. How can you say that makes... I'm not saying it makes them worse, that's the whole thing. It's like, I'm just saying that at the least, they're no worse than each other. I'm going against people saying that Apple products are physically crap or they're engineered crap in terms of electronics and boards and things like that. There are some bad ones there, but then there's always lemons amongst any product range. That's the first rule of life. Any chances of you starting a forum for us all? No. Yeah, Nick, I mean, I was not a big fan of Windows 8. I was not greatly impressed with. I think Windows tried to do a Apple there, and they tried to push some different techniques for things, and I don't think that worked out so well for them. I don't know whether it was just poor. People didn't like being shifted out of their norms, and particularly things like the start button. When they took the start button away, even though they did have it down there, it was right off the bat a bad start. I mean, it was the first thing that most people go to within Windows, and they went along and they changed that. And it was Microsoft. Yeah, they try hard, but sometimes they really miss hard too. I'm kind of waiting for when they bring out Windows whatever and it's got a Linux kernel in it. I wouldn't say that Apple take hype and deception to a new level, no. In fact, if anything, Apple's very blatant about what they're doing. It's like, here's $1,000 for a monitor stand. Yeah, they don't care if you don't like that. They're just like, it's what it is. You want to buy this beauty? Go for it. They don't try and nickel and dime you. They just come out straight with it. Problem I have Windows 7 these days, of course, is, well, I guess, it's out of support now, and you try to get any new machine that's 6th generation or older, you're doomed. Yeah, so basically Microsoft Engine won out. So now we're all Windows 10 or nothing. This is spinning, but I've got no display. Jonathan, I think, yeah, you see that's... So now, are we talking about Apple and what they offer as their product, or Apple as in their business culture? So there's a bit of a difference there. Yeah, they're very defensive on their business culture, and they will fight tooth and nail to that. And I completely agree. When the Apple repair, third-party repair program came out, first thing I said to quite a few people was, this is pretty much just going to be a pointless trap, if anything. Yeah, but in terms of Apple, what then they say, look, here's your iPhone, or whatever, or here's your Mac. I don't see a lot of deception in what they're offering there. Okay, so I got fan spin, but no display. Let's hope I didn't kill my machine. I'd be very upset if I killed my display. This has probably got dead CPU in that case. Let's see. Connect up a speaker. The fun thing is, even within the same OS world, you will see these same... Oh, I've got bad RAM. Oh. Amazing what speakers will tell us. Okay, bad RAM. Maybe. Could also be bad RAM controller or something like that. But we've maybe got bad RAM. So we've only got 8 to fight with here, so maybe we can try, see if we can reflow them, and might get lucky. Yeah, Jeff P, I did see something about that. I think as a single user system, multi-process single user system, OS2 was very nice. like I said, just unfortunate that they got outmarketed by Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft at the time was extremely savvy and savage, and IBM at the time was sort of a bit of a setting sun. I did notice that you can upgrade to Windows 10 basically, even though it will say it's not registered or anything like that. They don't really penalize you for it, and I think it's their way of realizing they just have to play it this way. So they get everyone onto the Windows system, and then they can start locking the doors. Alright, so I've got 3 beat RAM failure. So let's take a vote here. Do we just reflow the RAM like blind people? There's not too many chips on this one. There's only 8. So we could easily do that. Or is it more likely to be the RAM voltage regulators or something else? Let's see. Check that corroded point. Yeah. I'll tell you what, Wayne, I do wish there was a better Exchange replacement for Linux, because I know we've got quite a lot of solutions, but as much as I hate Exchange, we're always playing catch up. So I gave up. Most of my living, PP1V5 SOP good. Okay. You come out of the... Okay. You're part of Allsys Power Good. If that wasn't coming up, then Allsys Power Good would be dragged down, so I don't think it's going to be a problem anyway. Have you tried Evolution? No, I have not. I mean, to be fair, look, I got out of it quite a while ago now. I was doing all that sort of thing back around the turn of the century. Sounds funny to say that now. Back in about 2000. What is wrong with you? And around about that time is when postfix started becoming the preferred default install compared to sendmail. Back when you used to have to write your own sendmail configs using their cryptic rule system. And I mean, admittingly, the rule system was never meant to be parsed or generated by human hands. It was all meant to be done through the M4 macro system, but well, a lot of us did do it by hand anyway. Thank you, Sabatino. Appreciate that. Venucio. What is Venucio? I'll have to... Oh, Spumante. Okay. Around that time I was always using Slackware, but yeah, after a while I grew weary of Slackware, and I switched over to Knoppix, and then I quickly switched over to Ubuntu, and I've been with Ubuntu ever since. I'm not a great fan of the systemd system, but you know, at the end of the day I just still use it. I do much prefer my init scripts, but maybe that's just my old age. Yeah, Peter Inlands, the rules always need tweaking. Yeah, my claim to fame with sendmail was creating the R0 rule set for allowing bidirectional email filtering. That was a long time ago now. I remember sitting there for... Where was I? I was at a restaurant, that's right. Being a lonely little loner, eating at a restaurant, nice Italian restaurant called Gambetta's in South Africa. And at that stage, you could easily do filtering of emails that were inbound, i.e. they were going to be delivered by the local mail system, but there was no real way of doing outbound mail filtering. And anyway, so I sat there with my great big O'Reilly send mail book, and lo and behold, after about the fourth wine, I came up with the R0 rule set hack to make it so that we could all do bidirectional mail filtering. That was about my only claim to fame, other than aggravating the hell out of Lewis these days. Crazy J, no, you don't need a GitHub account. What you can do is you can make your modifications and then just send them to me through email. Or you can create a diff, but the easiest thing is just send it to me through email. In time I will make it an easier process, but for now Git is the sanest way for me to keep control of everything, so I can attribute blame and things like that. Oh, goddamn. Thank you, Vladimir. Tasty like vodka. Isn't vodka supposed to be mostly tasteless? Alright, so we've still got our beepy beep. I say we just go for the brainless janitor style reflow of the chips. Let's see how we go from that. Thank you very much, Vladimir. Hey, John White. So Chris Williams switched from Ubuntu to MX Linux. Okay. See, now I don't really want to do that sort of switching anymore. I just don't have the patience for it. It's a case of fine, I'll take the hit and stick with the mainstream. Because at least with the mainstream I can just sort of advise people, well, you know, do this with it and it'll work. Okay, now I'm going to have trouble. I don't want to melt that connector, but by golly, that's going to be close. Richard, yeah, quite a few hurdles, I think. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't have a lot of time for Elon Musk. And yeah, I mean, I can sort of understand. But compared to the other offerings in the world at the moment, there aren't really too many other people who are willing to actually just do what they believe in. And I mean, I'm sure people can say there's ulterior motives or whatever, and he's just using taxpayers' funds and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, fair enough, that's true. But he is basically just being a businessman there, and so I would expect him to do that, because it'd be an absolute idiot if he ignored the fact that there was millions of dollars available for his projects. I mean, why would you do that? If you want to be a good business person, the last thing you want to do is burn up all your money when other people's money is available. But in terms of delivering products, well, he's kind of delivered a lot more than basically what a lot of people said he would. And he's delivered a lot more than many other companies ever will. So yeah, he's a bit of a whatever you want to call him, but he does actually get the job done. I mean, you should go back and read all the naysayer comments about landing rockets. The pointlessness of it, why bother, all that sort of stuff. And now, a lot of the, now you've got other companies going, oh, okay, maybe we should do that too. And same with the electric car situation, people saying, no, what's your point, why are you doing that? Now, everybody's trying to get their electric cars onto the market. It's not to say he's the best or anything like that, but he does know how to move a market. Same with PayPal. When he was doing that, I remember a lot of people going, "Oh, what's the point of that? You know, it's no one's going to use that." Rah rah rah. Now it's pretty much the dominating payment system. Still. And I'll tell you what, they're fast with their stuff. Faster than these RAM chips are reflying, that's for sure. God damn, you guys are toughies. Usually you can tell when they have gone into reflow because they just all of a sudden shift again. First one's the hardest. Oh, no, okay, this is taking too long. There we go, I thought I saw it shift. Yep. Crap, I've just bumped that one a bit much. This is where having a 1/2 inch tip really works well, and I do not have that. Kind of bumped that one a little early and it shifted on one side but didn't on the other. Had to go back and fix that up. Yep, that's moved. I didn't have to tap that one tapped on its own. Yep. Last one. Joshua, you're right about that. You know, a lot of the asteroids have tremendous value. Large quantities of stuff that we just don't have here. Oh man. It's only a fan connector, but I'm a little upset about that. Good thing it's my own board. It's always the downside of this sort of work. You could always foil it all up and whatever, but what's the point? Have you noticed Lewis lately making an effort in his videos to pronounce solder properly? Yes, I have actually. And then he gets a little crazy and starts saying, "Oh no, color." But yeah, I get it. It's his way of showing that he loves me. Let's see, time here is actually 22 past midnight. So it is now technically New Year's Eve. If reflow doesn't work, what's next up the sleeves? Probably what I should have done in the first place, which maybe would have been to test the rails and stuff. Where's the fun in that? Yeah, I'm just going to pull into my cooling system. Tom George is an hour ahead of me. He must be in daylight saving mode. Okay. Alright, let's try that one. It's probably going to be twice as fast now. Enhanced it. There we go. And now I'm going to put filthy flux into my poor machine. Thanks, Ed. Yeah. 24 hours time, I'll be cursing at all the noise that would have been made. There's a lot of debate at the moment as to whether they should bother with fireworks, given that half of Australia is already on fire. And that money could go towards people who... yeah, things like that. Now, I know the counterpoint of that, of course, is that, well, it's already contracted work and it obviously is already someone a living, the fireworks people. But I guess it depends on what's socially acceptable these days. And sometimes your business can become socially unacceptable. Oh, if you want to hear the beeps, you got to plug in the speaker. Thanks, Travis. No beeps, and we've got a far more. Did we? No, yes, yes, no. And no. Ow. Bumped my head on the top there. Of course, it may have gone from no beeps to basically completely dead now. It's not a guarantee. No beeps is not a guarantee that we actually made forward progress. Maybe that we went completely backwards. Like the fact that my fan connector is actually literally melted into one piece now. You kidding me? You lousy little... Come on, you can do it. Yes. Call you Thomas the Tank Engine connector now. The little connector that could do it. Slap that thing back and forth a few times and it'll ease up nicely. Let's plug a screen connector in. I'm not going to bother with the keyboard connectors, too much flux there. Would have been useful though, because then I could just hold down the option key to get an early answer. Okay, plug in. Maybe they should buy everyone water guns and let them soak everything. Yeah, the trick's going to be then where do we get the water from? No. Fortunately up here we don't have a significant fire issue. We do have obviously some typical level, but not to the degree that they're suffering down south. So at this point we are looking for a flashing folder, something to indicate we have life. So we may have just simply made things worse. We got a flashing folder. Alright, so it was RAM. Yeah. I can admit, that surprised me. Let's see. get our High Sierra. See if this boots. I hope you are better than Lewis at breaking MacBooks. He couldn't do it after 3. Oh, I remember that. Well, that was actually truly an amazing situation. No, that was when you're talking about the one that they sent off to Apple themselves, or best wherever it was, the Genius Bar, and to deliberately with a short in it. There was a hell of a karma bite back. Not that I believe in karma. I don't know if this will boot. This may not have the latest EFI in it, the latest flash firmware, whatever, and so it may not know how to boot off this drive. But what we should do is run memcheck. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't know how to boot off that drive. So let us now proceed with what we don't want to do, and that is to... I am going to regret this, aren't I? At least you can replace these plastic lockdown clips. No, you've already turned a rock. Alright. Let's take this board out, wash away a moderate portion of the flux, and then we can plug it in and do our memory checks. Crazy Joe, no, I really appreciate it. Listen, just email me or catch me on Discord, and I can fill you in on the various tips. Alright, so we're going to get the flux off. Get ourselves some 99.98% alcohol. First thing we do, heat up the flux so it becomes actually liquid again. Come on. It's like, I don't want to do this again. Stop burning me. And then we absorb as much of the flux through the paper as we can. I put it through the ultrasonic, except the ultrasonic is cold, and we're not going to wait 4 hours for that to warm up. I don't think I burnt it that far, Travis, thankfully. That said, I have seen some people who do burn it to a literal crisp. Okay. Obviously the trouble here is that as soon as you apply the alcohol, it cools down the molten flux. Like so, we just want to get enough off that it doesn't feel like I'm trying to push these connectors through frozen Play-Doh. Suits Collier, I think you let that rabbit loose with the caterpillar digger. Well, I'm out of context there, Suits. Can you fill me in on what it's probably something I should know off the top of my head. Oh, John White, it's probably someone I was arguing with, don't worry about it. I have some very dedicated people who make sure that they attend every stream that I have, or every video, and they then diligently put their thumbs down in there. It's very nice of them because they're actually taking the time to watch the video, which says to YouTube, I actually watched this video. And even if they give a thumbs down, because it's an extreme minority, it just says to YouTube, well, this guy got attention, so yeah, thumbs up to him. So yeah, at low to medium levels, thumbs downs are actually still a positive thing from YouTube's perspective. Hey, Cass Jones. Well, we're almost done. Let's see, what suits. Oh, the excavator. Right. I've got a dud pin on that connector there. Has anyone ever noticed that? Well, this one's pretty obvious, but you can very often rapidly see a dud pin on a connector with the naked eye more than you can under a microscope. Like if I point out to you that that there is a bit grey, then you go, oh yeah, I can see that's a bit grey. But from just with normal vision from afar, that stands out like a real sore thumb. Thank you, Travis. Yes, that's right. If you really want to be sure that your thumbs down counts, press it twice. It's the best way to do it. Welcome back, Microfix. Come on, don't make me... Do not like forcibly pushing that in there. Dr. No. Whoever said that? Yeah. No. My wife has been very busy lately doing the, I think it's the Merriam-Webster personality analysis stuff. Is it Merriam-Webster or something? Anyway, where you get your 4-letter, 16 types of personalities determined by the 4 letters. Anyway, it turns out I am a ENTP, which is supposedly the engineer / whatever. And so it made me chuckle a little bit when people like, what is it, Iron Man is an ENTP. And I don't know if Mr. Downey Jr. actually is or not. Yeah, so it was kind of curious to see that sort of stuff. But it was certainly interesting that it reflected very much what I was expecting. I mean, as you would expect, because you put in the information, so it's just going to give you back what your categories are. A3X, good to see you. Yeah, sure, to ground. The cooking mats are really useful. Hey, Martin Lewis. Yes, it's Ubuntu with Open Broadcaster. Does a pretty good job, except for the damn audio sync issue at the start. I don't know what's causing that. It's something on my system, and oh dear God, Paul, just wash it, will you? But other than that, it works well. INTJ. Vladimir, I think my wife is INTJ. What was my second one? I was a... I think I was an INTP as my second one? I can't remember. Anyway, ENTP is my primary, and I certainly can see myself fitting that, no problems. And I was perfectly happy with that. Oh man. Come on. Let's draw that junk out and wash it off. Jonathan, not quite. I mean, obviously it's grades. I'm borderline. I think I'm like 54, 46, according to their statistics. I prefer generally to be a little bit on the introverted side, but I definitely wouldn't classify myself as a strict introvert by any means. And the very fact that I'm on YouTube half the time, willingly, as live stream, pretty much says that. I'm a quiet person. I do like my private time most of the time, but I also don't have crippling issues with public speaking or anything like that. Like, yeah, more than enough times I've been just spontaneously called up to make us talk about something, and I was like, yeah, okay, sure. I think a lot of it comes down to the confidence in the subject matter. Like, if you asked me to talk about biochemistry or something like that right now, I'd be like, ha ha ha, no, goodbye, bye bye, ta ta, see you later. Your wife is INSJ, yeah, okay, you do have a hard life there. I will grant you that. I guess in the end, yeah, there are those that your personality works with and those that it does not work with. Damn it. I pulled the tab off that, not intentionally, but it just, I think it's just too much flux in general. See if I can get it to stick back on. Let's see. I have one question. Why the hell would you pull a working unit down? Suits because it's my own personal machine, and other than just using it for casual stuff, I don't actually... It's not a business-dependent machine, as it were. I have my 1466 compiler machine. That's a business machine. And I have my 2013 27-inch Mac. That's my business machine for video editing and things like that. And iTunes. God damn, I hate this. If you want to complain about Apple stuff, then yeah, sure. Complain about things the way they butt these connectors right up against the battery. It's really annoying. Yeah, it should all be more like this one, which is... It's close, but there's enough room to pull it back and shove it in. And damn it, it's gone and gotten clogged up with flux now, because it took too long. 250 degrees should do the trick. Well, I wouldn't say I can just get a new one, that's not true. Most of these I've collected off customers as trades for work. Like, if they have said, well, look, I'm going to get a new MacBook, and if you can get the data off this one for me, things like that. And then I sort of pay them a little bit extra on top. Depends on the machine. Some of them I don't pay any more on top, some I do. You lousy little... I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that because the flux is going to harden around that connector, but we'll leave it in there for now. All this just so I can get a keyboard. Yeah, so it's the jobs that I had scheduled didn't turn up, so this is what I'm stuck with. I've got some iPhones, but the trouble with iPhones is that most of the time there's way too much personal data on them from whoever it was originally from. And so you get it up and running and then, yeah, it's... Okay, so we're going to run mem test on this. Sociopaths. Man, do I run into those guys. I've got one sociopath at the moment that I admittingly do try to make sure I sort of get them to accept that they're in the wrong place sometimes. You get these people that believe they're elite hackers and things like that, and you can just tell by the way they write that they're complete and utter. Well, they don't even know the first thing about hacking. So, and that's fine if they want to live in that little fantasy world, but the problem is when they go along and start threatening people, or they mislead people, or they take money off people and stuff like that, then or lose their data, stuff like that. And at that point they then need to be dealt with. Okay, so we've got the memory test starting up. So we switch off this overhead. There we go. I don't know why memcheck takes so long to deal with all this CPU MSR data stuff, this startup system. I don't know what the deal is. I do not know enough about the internal workings of the communication that's going on. It just perplexes me that a lot of these things take so long, given that how fast machines should be. Never met one sociopath, met hundreds at work. Yeah, they're everywhere. That's the thing. Yeah. And the trouble is, it's very difficult to call them out. I mean, not that you're trying to call them out to crush them or anything, but you just want to stop them from spreading like wildfire with the damage that they can cause. I've got one person threatening that they will, well, they have now for several months, saying that they're going to stop all people from paying for Flex Boardview. That I should be thankful that they are nice people and haven't attacked me. I have a feeling this might be running a little slower, maybe because most things aren't connected on the board. Here we go. Do we have... Yay! We've got a sensor issue here because this is stuttering. It could be a battery. Sorry, I know we waited all that time. Just going to connect everything up, so let's see if we've got an actual sensor issue or whether we've got SMC fault or something. Okay, where's that crossover cable? Please do not tell me I've lost my crossover. One man's sociopath is another man's keyboard warrior. Well, I think if they go beyond the keyboard, that's when they're problematically a sociopath. A lot of them I wouldn't put into the category of being a psychopath. Most of them do have some semblance of the right and wrong that they're doing. They just choose to ignore it. Option. I think it's running a bit quicker now. I think it's the battery in this model that causes the problems. Thanks, Travis. This is definitely one thing that I get frustrated by, that other people like Tim and Pernov and Lewis do really well, is they remember all the subtle details about each and every system. So, Tim will say, oh yeah, this is a whatever it is, and if you don't have this connected, this causes that issue, and so on and so forth. But those sort of details, I never seem to recall them to any great level. They always just like, straight out of my head. Which is probably why I write the software like I do, so that I don't have to remember, I let the software do that. Some Australian, I think it's because of the SMC I2C lines or something, and it just keeps retrying on it. But that definitely ran quicker. We'll try it again just to prove it, and see if we can get that mouse up in a hurry. So we've turned off. But yeah, for those sort of little pedantic details, I have very poor recollection. I might remember one or two boards, like my favourites, say like the 165s or the 3437, maybe the 1286 and 3115, but none of the others. Every time I encounter one of the other boards, it's like a whole new experience again for me. Travis, you mean the 3437, I'm guessing? With the on, off, on, off, on, off? I mean, yeah. On, off, on, off, on. Yeah. So the only reason I knew those because it's 3437 and 165. Yeah, they're the ones I do know. I gotta say, I'm really glad that Lewis has met Erica. I think it's nice. It sort of gives him a bit more of a balance, and it's nice that there's someone there that can smack him over the head when I want them to. Okay, I don't have that power, but I wish I did. Yeah, see, the mouse is perfectly good now. No stuttering at all. So start test. So it looks like this one, even though it's got a bit of spot corrosion here and there, the real problem was it just needed a RAM reflow. But that's not to say it's actually truly fixed. It could still misbehave. You know, was the fault the balls, or was the fault the interconnects between the wafer and the chip carrier? Let's see, Wayne. Sadly, mental health is a huge problem and only getting worse. I completely agree. I suspect within a few years, at least 2/3 of the population will probably have some degree of mental health issues. Tony, it happened about 3 months ago now? Something like that. Now, mental health is still one of those stigmatized issues that will probably bring down entire nations. Because a lot of people that have mental health issues need help, and there's not enough people to help. And so it just causes you to try and resolve your personal issues through ways that perhaps are not the best. Alcohol's a common one, likewise drugs, violence, all sorts of ways of lashing out, trying to deal with the madness that's going on. You need to remotely train Oreo to bat Lewis on command. That sounds like a good idea, yeah. And there's yeah, I mean, there's all different types of mental health issues. That's the problem. Just like there's physical health, there's all different mental health issues. Some can be handled by lifestyle changes. Some of them do need clinical assistance in terms of drugs. Maybe you have a faulty enzyme or something like that, and you can't generate a particular drug that's needed to maintain stability of the mind. It's a complicated problem, and it's a big one. It's definitely an elephant in the room, and we're just sort of hoping that it will go away. You have been a while away as trainee, yeah. Well, I think this is pretty much the end of the stream for this. We're just going to let this run, and hopefully when I come back to it in the morning it'll still be alive. Yeah, it's pretty brutal, Wayne, that you get that many in your area alone. It's really rough. I mean, I can understand it. It's a painful topic that, I mean, I personally have experienced. Mental health issues. No, 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 no. Take that vaccine. Get it out of here. No. Just no. I mean, the amount of damage that has been done by the whole autism thing is just. I mean, look at the number of diseases now popping up that should never have come back, and they're all on the back. So no, no, no. I'm sorry. The statistics do not support that theory. The real issue we have in life is that the demands that are placed on us, the dreams that are fed to us as being we should be able to attain these dreams of things like hard work or whatever, are primarily unattainable in the most case because there's only a limited number of resources like money or places or stuff like that. So for any number of people up the top, there has to be many more below them that support them on that whole pyramid type structure, at least in the capitalistic type world that we're in. And I don't see how that's going to change unless we completely change society, and I'm not really a great fan of that either. So Ed says, you can't just get an X-ray MRI to find it. Exactly. Yeah. PTSD has been with me for years. I control the medicine and never goes away. Yeah, Wayne, my full sympathies there. It's yeah, people sort of think that the stuff just fades, but it doesn't. It really does not. It's just something that you can just be walking along and then bam, punches straight through everything, all your defenses, and takes you down. It's very difficult to describe to people what it's like when you're trying to manage these issues, and that's predominantly what you end up doing. You manage it as opposed to cure it. I used to think that maybe things got easier as you got older and more mature, but it doesn't. You just get this thicker and thicker layer of stuff that you have to deal with. Jeff P, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's inappropriate blaming. It doesn't help anybody. It's just like, get it out of here. When someone ever experiences mental health issues, has no idea when someone is suffering. Peter Hubert, yeah, it's that is a big part of the problem. Is that it's hard to describe the individual issue that you're suffering or impart onto someone else who has not endured the same sort of thing. And it's not a case of, when people like to say you should walk a mile in someone else's shoes and things like that, it's not as easy as that. It's just there are some things that you cannot convey to the level in which they impact you. Do you have a thermal camera? I do not know. I'm looking at getting one, probably one of those, I think about $450, $500 ones that fit on the phone. I mean, that makes it extra brutal for you in some ways. But it's difficult, as you say. You can't cure it. It's you're stuck with it. The only way you can really cure it is to eliminate the memory or whatever's causing it, and that's not really an option. Yeah. Anyway, so mental health is definitely a big thing. One thing I found very difficult to deal with was the fact that the world now tries to lead you into telling people about it. But they try to lead you into telling the wrong people about it. Like your banks or your financial institutions and all that, they sort of say, if you're having issues, come to us, let us help you. We understand. And it's a load of crap. Because what it really is they're baiting you, or they're trying to draw you in to reveal that, okay, you aren't the perfect type human from their perspective. And they will shred you. They will kill your credit rating. They will kill your insurance ability. They will take out everything from you. They will make your life so much worse. If this is in seriousness now, if you are having mental health issues, find the right people to talk to, and that in itself is one of the hardest things. Finding people who you can talk to, and people who are available to talk to, and people who have the strength to be able to give you the right balance of how much they can take your issue, and also be able to hold you back so that you don't become fully dependent on them. It's a very complicated issue, but yeah, things like banks, work, stuff like that. If you go freely admitting that sort of stuff to them, your life will be shredded. You basically will be committing your own suicide through that. It has taken me a tremendous amount of time to rebuild everything that was destroyed because of a prior issue. And my advice is, you know, don't be that honest to banks. Maybe say, okay, I need a bit of time or stuff, but don't tell them things like that, because don't give them the full details, because they will just immediately black mark you. And just going back through the chat. Yeah, therapy time now, definitely not me. Yeah, I'm a police officer, not a psychiatrist, but I'm expected to help them because there are not enough professional. Exactly, man. That's the hard thing. You've got to deal with your own personal demons, so to speak, and yet people look to you to deal with theirs, and that's hard. That's got to be really frustrating. So yeah, my full sympathy to you, and I know your job it's not a job I would like to take. I think it's a very, what do you call it? Can't think of the word now. Very unappreciated. The things you have to, I mean, sure, there's corruption in all workplaces and people like to focus on that sort of thing and stuff like that, but they forget that, a great deal of the people working there, putting their lives on the line, for them, they're just trying to make the world a bit better, and it's no fun when the population turns around and decides to treat you that badly. Talk about mental health sensibly and your views will soar. Maybe I might be getting yelled at a lot more too. Rod K, you're welcome, thank you. I'm glad that things have been enhanced for you. Suits, you're bipolar. That is a tricky one to deal with. I have dated someone who was bipolar. That was very difficult. I wasn't able to carry on with that, but it is definitely difficult. Mental health system in the US is complete crap. I would say the mental health system across the world is generally complete crap because of the fact that there just aren't the numbers of people who are trained for it, and the society's response to it is not yet in a positive way. We say we're trying to be nice, we want to hear your issues or whatever, but the truth is that it still negatively impacts the person suffering at the end of the day because they get treated differently, they get shunned out of things. It's not explicitly conscious. It's not an explicit choice, it just happens by nature. Just build a thermal camera with a 8x8. I've got one of those 8x8 cameras, Paul, but I'm probably looking instead, you can get the 32x16 now ones, I think it is, and they're cheaper, and easier to work with. Yeah. Hey, NL, how's it going? Alright, okay, I gotta go. This machine's, as you can see, it's still running, so I think we fixed that. It was basically just a RAM reflow. It'll go into the ultrasonic, clean off a little bit of those spicks and specks of corrosion. Very good. Nice way for me to start the new year, even though that's still 24 hours away. Oh well. Anyway, so thank you very much for sitting around and listening to me dribble drabble, and I will catch you next time. In the meantime, watch out for the dingoes, don't let the bunyips get you. I'll see you next year maybe.